Hello class, welcome to our second portion of section 2.4. This again deals with multiplying and dividing rational numbers. We're just going to go through some examples of multiplying and dividing and then a quick word problem scenario. I want to make sure that we're clear on when negatives and positives are multiplied together, how to deal with fractions, things like that in order to be successful. On question 1 here, before you even do the question, you need to make sure you know the answer is negative because there's one positive and one negative number that you're multiplying together. Remember, when you multiply, you should make things improper. Cross simplify if you can, so like these 4's cancel out. 9 times 1 is 9, 1 times 5 is 5. Some answers may be written as improper fractions, so you want to make sure you look at that. You need to be able to switch back and forth between the two fairly quickly, but you want to make sure that you know how to deal with an improper fraction versus a mixed number. And then don't forget that it's got to be a negative answer. The next one, notice this is negative 3/5 raised to the third power. It's in parentheses, so that means it's negative 3/5 times itself times itself. There's no cross simplifying that can be done here. Remember, you can't cross simplify on the top. It's only on the top and bottom. So 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. 5 times 5 times 5 is 125. And there's 3 negatives, so it's going to end up being a negative answer. You also could do a question like that by multiplying the first two together and then multiply by the last one. So that's another option you have for that scenario. The decimal question, I'll be honest, that the decimal questions can be plugged into a calculator a lot easier than fractions. You want to make sure that you can do your two-step, two-line multiplication for decimals. You need to make sure you understand kind of where the decimal point goes. It should go 3 spots from the end. Notice mine looks like it's 2. Well, that's because there was a 0 at the end, because 5 times 2 is 10, and you carry the 1. So it was 3 spots to the left. You need to make sure you're able to explain some of those things. I think explanation-wise, you probably need to explain your fractions a little bit better than the decimals, but you also need to know whether something's positive or negative. For division, remember, for division of fractions, keep, change, flip. So you make things improper first, you keep the first number, you change the division to multiplication, flip negative 3 to negative 1/3. Cross simplify if you can. Negative times negative is a positive. 6 times 1 and 7 times 1 becomes 6/7. For division of decimals, remember the first number goes on the inside, second number goes on the outside. It doesn't matter which one's larger. So a lot of times students get themselves confused with that. Remember, first number goes on the inside, second number goes on the outside. I move decimal points based upon the second number, so I don't have to move it over. I divide out, I get 1.2, but remember the answer is negative 1.2 for that situation. For the second one right here, you get an answer of negative 0.215. Remember that the 6.45 has to go on the inside and the 30 has to go on the outside. I don't even deal with the negative signs right now. I deal with that at the end, knowing that the answer has to be a negative. When you have more than 2 fractions that you multiply together, you can order them however you want, and you can cross simplify as long as one's on the numerator and one's on the denominator. So notice these two 7's, even though they're not next to each other, can be canceled out. The reason we can do that is we could have flip-flopped 2 of the fractions just by doing commutative property of multiplication, and we would get the same answer. The important thing is also noticing that the answer should be positive because there's 2 negative numbers to choose from. On the second one, you have to make negative 3 and 3/5 into an improper fraction, 18/5. Don't forget that negative 3 can be written as a fraction, okay, an improper fraction, by just putting it over 1. There's lots of cross-simplifying that can be done here. My recommendation is to make sure that you understand these multi-step and multiplication pieces that have more than 2 numbers. And then don't forget you may have to follow the order of operations on some questions too. So you should multiply and divide before you add and subtract. The next question says that someone owns 3 different types of stock, and then this is the value that you bought it for. This is its current value, and then the last piece is how much it's changed. You're looking for the mean change in value. So I don't care about the original. I don't care about the current value. What I care about is, did I win or lose, essentially? Have I won money or gained money, or have I lost or it's gone away? So when you're looking for the amount of change, the first thing you should do is add up those 3 numbers. What I would probably do is add the 2 negatives first and then subtract from the positive. You should get negative 333.63, so negative $333.63. A lot of people have been struggling with finding the mean. Remember, finding the mean is the average, so you add up all the numbers and then divide by the total amount of numbers, which is 3. And so this is the mean change. So in context of this question, it means the average amount of money that you've gained, or in this case lost, is $111.21. That's the average amongst the 3. So when you're looking at that idea, you want to make sure that the average, okay, is division by however many numbers there are. The next question says there's a gas tank. Now, many of you aren't looking at gas tanks all the time because you're not trying to fill up a car because you're not driving. But like for my vehicles, I know kind of how much gas it should take. I know what it means to be a fourth empty, or in this case, 3/4 full. So the key to this question is if the tank is 3/4 full, let's just say this is my tank. If it's 3/4 full, I've got my tank filled up with 3 of the 4, and I'm looking for this spot, which is how many gallons to fill the tank, which is the leftovers. And if that's the case, all I have to do is take 14.5 and divide into 4 equal groups because each compartment should have about the same amount. Now, gas tanks don't look like rectangles like this. They're kind of odd shaped because they just kind of fit in whatever space they're looking at. Okay, but in this style of question, what you're looking for is the fact that, okay, so I've got 3/4 of the tank full and then 1/4 left over. So I just take the 14.5 divided by 4, and that'll give me 3.625 gallons is what it would take to fill the tank. If I was looking for how much is in the tank, I would take the 3.625 times 3 to be able to figure that out. Okay, your homework today, section 2.4, first 6 questions. The rest, 11 through 27 and 33 through 55, you can just do the odd questions. Remember that your homework is a good indication of assessment pieces and things you need to understand along with our lesson. So those pieces of the lesson are important to make sure that you know, and then the pieces from the homework are good to know. If you need an area or volume question, here's a few that you might need. Area is 1/2 base times height, or base times height divided by 2 for a triangle. Remember, volume of a prism, it depends on the type of prism, but if you're just looking at a box, a rectangular prism, it's just length times width times height. If you need other formulas like that, I would encourage you to look them up and just search for them, either in your textbook or online, because there's a lot of information about those available to you. Have a good day, everybody.